And here we are. Welcome to the OneTapCast. We are the voice for the casual gamers. Joining you up onto Twitch this week, it is myself and my co-host Rumz, me being Solemn FPS. Rumz, how's your week so far, bud?
It's going well. Pretty short, working on half days at work, so getting ready for the holidays.
It's true. You did mention you were going to the holiday break, which is super nice.
Yep.
I am on my winter break for school, which is excellent. I ended up getting 3 A's and 2 B's, so
Nice.
not bad. I know. Next spring, I'll be up for a kind of like a scholar program where I get to put in an application for like a big tech company over here where I live. So maybe that'll go well, and I get a nice internship to do next spring and next summer. So,
I'm here.
I lost your camera feed. Okay.
I'm here.
He's coming back. So, yeah, it's been a good week. Just working, prepping for the holidays. I finished my Christmas shopping today. Me and the girlfriend went out and got some last-minute shopping done, which is nice. I did a lot of gift cards this year. It's kind of hard to shop for certain people because they're getting old. So I really know they only want money. Hi, Brian. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so today we have something different planned. We usually talk about like some gaming news. We talk about Valorant a lot. We talk about CS happenings or just gaming in general. I wanted to talk about something interesting. So for the last couple of podcasts before last week, I was talking a lot about World of Warcraft and playing the new content and stuff that had come out. And I want to address why I needed to quit World of Warcraft, which is what I did. And I've decided I'm never going to play the game again after this last expansion, which is something I never thought I'd be able to say because it is my longest played video game. So specifically, of all time. So specifically, I want to talk addiction and video games. So for those that don't know, I'm a cybersecurity major with a network engineering focus, but I deal a lot with software and a lot of tech industry stuff. And part of that has been an exploration and a study into social media in some of my last classes with how prevalent it's become. And you see a lot of these patterns in social media where the AI and the programs themselves have been kind of designed to be addictive. Although it may not be on purpose, it is. And it's been kind of created that way, which is a shame because they're a really neat tool. And for it to be this much of a negative impact, I think it's not good.
Right.
But yeah, I want to talk about an experience with being addicted to gaming specifically or addiction in general and kind of how to cope with it, especially within our kind of field. So,
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So to start, why I had to quit World of Warcraft, I fell into this pattern that I used to be in when I quit the first time. So I played Vanilla WoW through TBC when the game first came back, and I got to the point where I was trying to play 10 to 12 hours a day. And just only playing the game and like scrapping schoolwork. I'd skip out on speaking to friends or talking with people because I knew I needed to get gear. I knew I needed to grind the gold out to maintain my subscription. I knew I needed to get this resource. I needed to find the next hit from the game and the gameplay loop. And it started to really, what it did was it impacted me playing baseball at the time because I was playing baseball. And I stopped to continue to play baseball. And I came back to it again in Legion. I played the Legion. I rated that tier. And it was okay. I quit because the game stopped to get, didn't become fun. I had some other things in life coming up more frequently. Obviously I had my girlfriend. I still do, which was debatable for a little while. And I'll get to that later when I talk about some more personal experiences. But so I had my girlfriend. I had a job. I was trying to reassess where I wanted to be with my career path, all kinds of stuff. And I quit because I didn't have the time to play the game. And that's what I thought. I was like, I don't have time to commit to this like I want to.
Sure.
Because I wanted to Mythic Plus. I wanted to M20 keys. I wanted to
Really
raid
push
first.
the limits of World of Warcraft content.
Yeah, I really wanted to be as good as I could be. And
Possibly.
That's true with any game. If you ever tune in on stream when I were playing Valorant, you see it a lot. I get heated. I get angry, or I'll get super competitive and into it because I want to be good at what I do. Whether that's content, whether that's playing a video game, whether that's being a friend, whatever, I want to be good at it. And it's just because I'm competitive as a person. So this last time with Shadowlands and it coming out, I hit the content really hard. and I leveled like 4 or 5 different classes. I pushed them to max. I did a couple of M plus keys before the content released, and I got into the content, and I had max leveled in a day. And I actually skipped, quote unquote skipped. I'm on, all my classes are online with the plague. So I would open them up in a second window, look at the content, go, yeah, I can learn this by myself, and then just leave them in the background and then play the game instead of paying attention to the coursework or whatever I need to actually work on. And something, I'm not going to name any names of my guildies because I love all the people that were in there. I'm not going to make any references. But I've had this conversation with one of the guys in my guild, and he has kids. He's like 40. And he has these 2 kids. They're young, like 2 and 3. And he said, yeah, it really sucks. My neighbors called child services on me last week.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, what brought that on? What happened? And he goes, oh, my 3-year-old managed to unlock the door and get outside while it was snowing, and he's not fully potty trained yet. And so he took his pants off and was running around in the snow without his pants on. Which is funny. And I was like, wow, that's kind of scary. He got through the child lock and everything. He was like, yeah, it was really scary. And I didn't notice because I was playing WoW. And I said, well, how long was he out there? He goes, oh, he's out there for like an hour. Kids banging on the window trying to get through. And like his daughters, you can hear them in the background saying, Daddy, we want to go play in the snow. Daddy, we want to do this. And he goes, okay, I'll go out in a little while. And then he goes to put his daughters down, and they broke the screen to a window and climbed out of the house so they could go play in the snow because he didn't take them outside. Because he was focused on gearing to hit M+. And I really, hearing that story as I was playing WoW, I sat back in my chair and I was like, I don't want gaming to be that when I get older. I'd like to play games, but I want kids, and my kids are the priority when I have them. If Timmy wants to go play baseball, I'm going to go outside and play baseball with Timmy. Or if he wants to, or she wants to play dress up and comb my hair and paint it funny colors, I'm going to let her do that, or whatever. That's what I wanted to focus on, is the kids.
Yeah.
And I could see myself on the slope towards that same story happening to me, and I was like, I can't do it. I went home and I canceled that sub. I actually messaged Rumz. I actually messaged our co-host on Discord, and I was like, I'm doing this. I'm canceling this. You need to hold me accountable to it. And I ripped it out of my computer. I deleted all the files off of it. I left the guild and messaged the people I was close to. I was like, I can't play anymore. Uninstalled the game. Gone. Haven't played it back. Haven't looked back. And the gameplay loop in WoW is age old, with it being kind of this infinite reward.
Yep.
And you know what I'm talking about. You also played a lot of World of Warcraft.
There's always something to be seeking, always something better out there. There's always your better stats. There's always your better item. There's always your BIS. You just have to consistently, there's something to consistently grind for.
For sure. And it's a wonderful game, and if you can play it healthily, great. If you can play it for your job, awesome. If you can manage it, all the more power to you. I tend to, when I'm passionate about something, get engrossed in what's going on. And I put a lot of heart and a lot of effort into whatever it is that I'm enjoying at the time. And for WoW, that was requiring 12-hour sessions.
Sure.
Like, it got to the point where I was recognizing hand and wrist pain for the first time since I played Melee.
When you were
Smash
younger.
Melee,
and you were young.
Yeah, and I'm
young
20,
baseball player.
I'm 20.
Right?
Yeah, and it was the first time my hands had hurt since I was catching for the first time, and I caught the first 80-mile-an-hour fastball without, extra padding in a glove.
Yeah.
I couldn't. There were times where my wrist, I'd barely move my wrist, and I would just get this inflamed pain up my arm, and I was like, this is nuts. I'm doing these unhealthy things all so that I can see a shiny item in a game.
Yeah.
And I wanted it. And that was when I realized, this is bad. This is something I need to get away from. And I made a reference to, I didn't always have my girlfriend, who's the best human being I can imagine. I love her to death. And she's kept me straight on so many paths. But my first kind of trip into college, I got involved with competitive Smash Brothers. And I really focused on being good at that and playing well at that and trying to do that and my schoolwork. And a lot of other personal stuff happened that caused me to have some issues with my first trip into college. But there were times we had this deal made out where I would see her on the weekends. She'd either come up or I'd come back home so we could spend time with each other because she wasn't at the same school as I was. And there were weekends where I lied to her. a couple weekends out of every month so that I could play an event or travel to an event or
Wow.
compete. And it ended up almost like we almost broke up because of that. She almost left until I got a wake up call and I was like, well, dang, this is not good. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just kind of rehash and take a step back and really look at this kind of stuff. And that was the same thing. I had to cut Smash away, and I have it. I play it with friends, but I don't spend every day grinding tech skill like I used to. I can't play those kind of games that require this meticulous approach or this constant feedback loop, or I get locked in because I'm just an addict by nature. I get addicted to things I enjoy.
Sure.
It could be TV shows. It could be film. At one point I was heavily engrossed in film and film critique. I've seen over 3,000 movies. That's what I used to do. I have a log of reviews backlogged. I get engrossed in the things that I'm doing. And video games is something that I've always enjoyed since I first got into them way back when.
Yeah.
And nowadays in modern gaming and the shift that we've seen over the last few years, I think that the design and principles behind the games, this is the main kind of focal point. I know I've talked a whole lot, but this is kind of my main focal point, is that the design behind the games now and the things they're putting in the games now are preying on younger people and addicting them to their platform to make money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A lot like social media does. So social media, if you don't know, the way they make money is they sell your data. They obtain all of your data, your browsing data, as you're browsing Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Reddit, whatever. They take all the data of what you like to look at, the videos you like to look at, YouTube algorithms, everything you want to watch, anything to keep you online longer so that they can run an extra ad. And that ad, somebody says, I'll pay you X amount of money, you throw this ad, and each person's view time, say my average view time is a 20-minute YouTube video. They're going to say, okay, well, we'll pitch them these videos that have 4 ads, and we'll get 16 cents an ad every time you watch this one. That's their business model. And then you have some people who get caught in rabbit holes, like the Kyrie Irving incident, where he went down a rabbit hole and thought the earth was flat for like a couple months. Yeah. That's kind of one of the issues with the social media side of it, is because disinformation spreads so quickly. I think the issue with gaming, it's so many microtransaction focused games and so many little incremental pieces of progressional content, like battle passes with the battle royales, or small little dopamine hits of, oh, you did a good job, oh, participation.
Just about everything nowadays has a battle pass or microtransaction based system.
That's how they get you hooked into the game and achieving content.
I can't speak too much for personal addiction on video games because I've been a casual player pretty much my entire life. When I was 12, I was addicted to Call of Duty. I wanted to come home and play Call of Duty. It was the only thing I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. I remember those days.
Nowadays, I get those hits of dopamine, like you were saying, just out in the world doing things. I'm very fortunate to have put myself in a position where that happens. Back in April, though, I Mythic rated for the first time. I guess it was January, February timeframe. This year, Nyalotha, for those of you who are smart with your WoW content, was my first Mythic tier rating.
Okay. That was Battle for Azeroth, for those that don't know.
Yes. Last patch for Battle for Azeroth.
Correct. The last raid to be added.
Correct. And man, that was something else. That was an experience in gaming that I don't think that I'm ever going to forget.
No.
It's also an experience in gaming that I don't think I'm ever going to return to.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It was all-consuming, and it was very enjoyable. I went from basically having never raided in my life, and I worked tirelessly to get to a point to where I could get on our Mythic raiding team. I joined at the 4th boss, and then we ended up clearing the whole thing. We were cutting edge for last year. Cutting edge, for those of you not WoW smart, is basically saying that you just cleared the whole raid on Mythic difficulty.
Correct.
The hardest. And I'll tell you what's so dangerous about raiding in World of Warcraft, right? It's not just the content by itself. It's not just the loot system by itself. Those certainly have huge huge factors to play into it.
For sure.
But what makes World of Warcraft and other massive multiplayer online games like Final Fantasy, Elder Scrolls Online, is this whole raid structure, the social aspect. That's what makes it so hard for once people start and they get their feet set. That's what makes it so difficult for people to leave, because even myself, we were a semi-casual guild is
Right.
how we were self-proclaimed. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, we were going from 6 to 9. We spent 6 hours a week on raids.
Right.
And that's, considered semi-casual. A casual guild might do, 2 to 3 hours a week, but we were doing 6. And that went on. That went on for several months. And we had the best of times. We had the worst of times. A lot of good friendships are forged in the heart of that boss room. But to save the story, it's the social aspect can just really hook you in, because you don't want to leave because they are your friends.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous. It can be a very dangerous form of pseudo friendship, I think. So I just think that every user needs to be aware of that and the pitfalls of an online friendship. I can't speak ill of online friendships. Some of my best friends that I've ever made, I have only met online.
Of course, yeah, for sure.
But it's important to keep a solid foundation outside of the digital world, because people are powerful. It's good to keep people around. They can lift you up. They can, they can basically do anything for you.
Yeah, no, having a support structure outside of the game is super important, and it's one of the issues we see it a lot now, because I believe I'm a slightly older than you are at 23, and I see it a lot in my little sister and the people that she's kind of grown up around, because my sister's 20, my little sister's 20, and kind of that 20 below and kind of upper teen area. Their primary form of connection has been digital for so long, and that was kind of their initial brush into a lot of that kind of stuff is through digital connection, and that's where they make meaningful relationships. And the issues with that is, semi-casual people hear, oh, so that's just 6 hours a week. That's not a lot. You can spread that out however you want. What they don't tell you is that to get to the requirements to hit the 6 hours a week, you have to play the 24 to 30 hours a week to gear everything out the first time. And then you have to make the alt when your class gets nerfed. And then you have to reslot your gear. Or then you have to, go through to get the PvP only item that's your BIS for this certain thing. Or so on and so forth. You have this additional tacking onto it. It's like heroin. I've made the joke in the Discord a lot, but WoW is a lot like heroin, because your first initial hit is small. You level the first 10 levels in the introductory area, and you think that you're living edge because you're smashing through content, and it's great. And then you come back, and you only level 4 levels. And you're like, man, I really wanted to hit 15, so you push an extra hour. Then you come back, like, man, I really wanted to get to 25, but I'm only level 22, so you play another 4 hours. And next thing you know, you're playing 10 to 12 hour sessions instead of 2 to 3 hour sessions, and you're like, oh my gosh, where did this time
not
difference
even go? And I think you bring up a good point there, because I have a friend, my WoW dad, as I call him, one of my old IRL friends who turned into my WoW coach, basically coached me on getting up to a mythic rating CE team.
Correct.
He always explained it as the content doesn't start until you hit max level.
Yep.
Which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
If you think about
it.
Like
90% of the game takes place after you're done leveling.
There is now 1 through 60 levels, then 1 through 120 levels.
Yeah.
And you had to quest through every zone, and each zone took X amount of hours.
Yep.
So the fact that there is that much content that you can gear yourself out with, and then once you hit the end is the beginning. I don't know how many hours I have on that one toon that I mythic rated on. I didn't actually level him from 1. He was a toon boost for it was a 120 boost, so I skipped the leveling and just went straight into gearing him. But the hours that I've spent just on Mythic rating, and like you said, to even keep up with that 6 hours a week, because we were semi-casual, we wanted to make a good effort at clearing the raid on Mythic. That meant that there was a reasonable expectation for us to get on at some point during the week and clear our Mythic plus 15 key.
Right.
So for you non-World of Warcraft players, there's 3 different tiers of difficulty for an encounter. There's normal, heroic, and then there's mythic.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's mythic plus. So it's mythic, so it's the hardest difficulty, and then it increases in tiers and just gets progressively more difficult.
Adding modifiers and timers and conditions and all
modifiers, timers, conditions. Yeah. And if you clear a Mythic plus 15 every week, you get the max level of power. You get the max power level out of one item every week.
Yep.
It's your reward for clearing a Mythic plus 15, basically. You get one item at, it's not max level, but it's 10 off the max. It doesn't matter. But anyway, you would grind that throughout the week.
Mm-hmm.
You'd get your 15. And then once a week on Tuesday, you would pull this item out of your chest, and it was like rolling the dice. It was like gambling.
Yeah. 100% looks like gambling.
So
as a guy that plays a lot of poker,
even in that of itself, man, like that loot system is dangerous.
Yeah.
But my point that I'm making is that loot system for that weekly chest ties into the amount of that 6 hours that you have to play. And it just multiplies and it multiplies and it multiplies until eventually what I found and why I ended up leaving the raid team a few months into it was that 6 hours wasn't 6 hours.
Nope.
And I wasn't spending time in the things that needed to be spent time in.
Exactly.
The hours were cut down severely with my wife. You
Yeah.
know, Tuesdays and Thursdays were completely blocked off. Kind of like how the podcast is, but this is more productive, I would say. And it's creative expression. So,
and don't get us wrong, it's important to have things that are your own, especially in relationships. My girlfriend does not play Valorant. You know, she doesn't play Magic with me. Those are my two big hobbies, right? That's my main video game and my main non-video game, and those are kind of like my things. And she'll listen to me talk about them, and you'll see her in the chat. She's Lady Emiria. She's one of our mods. She'll come up in the chat. She'll say hi. She'll listen. She'll give us feedback, but it's not her scene, and she supports through that, right?
Yep.
But the podcast, I'll lay it out exactly for you. So the podcast, I pick a topic. Me and Rumz talk about. I come up with a list of topics. Me and Rumz pick a topic, okay, and then we go, okay, we're gonna talk about it on Wednesday, and then I record the episode on Wednesday. I cut it together on Thursday, and I get everything posted between Friday and Sunday, depending on my work schedule. That's how it works. And then I stream other ways throughout the week that I have free. But it's important to have something you can commit yourself to that is your own, that you can spend your own time with to develop yourself. It's really important. So don't take it away as we're saying, if you're playing video games for 3 or 4 hours a night because you don't have anything else to do, don't think that that's a bad thing.
No,
per se.
Not what we're saying at all.
But watch how it impacts other stuff.
Referring to, and the main, topic of this podcast was those micro dopamine hits that you're seeing nowadays in a lot of the microtransactional games and a lot in the social media. Because in this digital age, there is so many sharks up at the top of the food chain that are looking to prey upon
100%.
that little mini hits of dopamine. I'm a psychology major.
Yeah.
So I can speak on how everything in this free market is set up to where it arouses an eager want in somebody. And 100%. That eager want is a little mini spike of dopamine that you get when you get a notification. Oh, so-and-so liked your photo. Boom, dopamine. So-and-so commented on your photo. Boom, dopamine.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good. You want to click on it. Clicking on it feels good. You see their comment. Makes you feel better. You spend money on a weapons case. Feels good. You open the weapons case. You're rolling the dice.
You open the knife.
Good. Yep.
Don't even get me started on CSGO skin gambling.
You get right next to that orange quality knife. That's worth $200 to $300, and then you just pass off of it, and that makes you want more.
And you get a blue, so you buy a new case.
and then you just go and you just go and you just go.
Yeah.
You just buy a new case.
It's wild.
Buy a new case, and it's just.
And it keeps going. And you see it, it's like even in Fortnite. So my mom is actually a kindergarten teacher.
Yes.
And she has these kids in her class that play games like Fortnite. It was a big thing for a few years.
Still is.
And yeah, it's still massive. But she'll have kids that come in. That's the only thing that they talk about. Mm-hmm. The only thing they pay attention to or reference or whatever. And they'll come in and they'll be like, yeah, Jaden, I really shot you over and over again last night. I really got you. I killed you. And they'll run around chasing each other with sticks like they're shotguns outside. I'm like,
I hit the L dance.
I was like, wow. When I was 5 and I played a video game, I was playing like Spyro. That was when I was super duper young like that. I was playing Spyro or NHL hockey, I think. I think the worst game that I had was I had this motorcycle game back on the PS1 or something like right before the PS1 where you could run over blocks and get a chain or like a pipe and go and knock somebody off of their motorcycle and it would explode. And you got to keep driving. That was the worst game that I had growing up. Or like Plastic Army Men growing up, right? And then you have these kids with like Fortnite who are jumping on top of people with tactical shotguns from a box, blasting them away. And they're 5 and they're playing 7 to 8 hours a day when they get home from school. And that's just that's nuts.
It's a little much.
That it's going through this. And especially with kids who kind of have the competitive, you see a lot of this kind of addiction to gaming. It's actually in the DSM-5 now, gaming addiction, where they dissociate away from everything else to focus and play on this video game, especially with a lot of the times of this disillusionment of going professional.
Yeah.
Not to say you can't do it. You can be a god and you can have a chance and you can work for it. Don't throw away your other opportunities because you think that you can put this one thing. And this is coming from someone who had a very promising talent in baseball. I had one of the strongest arms in my age group. I played up a lot of age groups. I had a batting average sitting like above 400 when I exited baseball, right around my high school, right around the beginning of my high school kind of days when I stopped playing. And the amount of hours you have to put into something to be a professional of anything is like 10 to 15,000 hours. That's to get to the talent, to sculpt the talent that you already had to that elite level.
I think that's mastery.
Yes, to master something, it takes like 10 to 15,000 hours.
It's 10,000 or...
Yeah, it's a very high number, right? So it's a very high number. Going. And so even with that, you have like a 1, and for baseball, they always told me you have like a 1 in 6 million chance. Or like a 1 in 2 million chance, I think at the time, it was to be a professional baseball player. So for gaming, it's even larger as a proportional thing because you have to compete with all these other different countries, and to kind of feed. And when you feed into this mindset of, I'm gonna go home and instead of doing these assignments that I'm supposed to be doing for my class, I'm gonna play League because I'm silver, but I could get to Challenger one day. Where or it's feeding into this understanding of a game where you believe that like this, the passion starts to then take over and bleed into other aspects of your life. And this is kind of where Smash takes hold, as far as my experience goes. Smash, I was not good at Smash. A lot of my personal friends will tell you that I'm good at Smash because I beat them. But then compared to the other people that I was playing regularly at these events, I'm awful. For those, you guys obviously don't know, but I went to college with Esam, who's a professional Smash Brothers player. He's very good. He's one of the best, I think, Pikachus on the planet right now in Smash Ultimate. He was the best Pikachu in Smash 4. He's a great Melee player. He's a wonderful person, but he's amazing at the video game. And I'm not. So I gravitated towards doing something like a TO. And the tournament organizing was great because I got to take part in it and I got to try to build the community and do a lot of really good things. And it started to bleed into every other aspect. And I saw it with my girlfriend and my studies. Because Saturdays where she would come up to visit, instead of us watching a movie, going to a restaurant, or taking a walk around campus, or whatever, or studying, it was, you can come up, we'll talk and we'll hang out, and then I have to plan the logistics for this event that's in 2 weeks, because we have 200 entrants. or we have 500 entrants, or we have 1,000 entrants that I have to work and prep for. And it started to bury me under the aspects of the game, where every aspect of my life was focused on Smash Brothers. And that's when it looked at me in the face and it said, this is like a drug. Because with substances, it's very similar. Every aspect of your life really starts to bleed into the substances. I had one of my best friends was addicted to cocaine for like a year. And I watched him total his car and almost throw away his career and lose 2 girlfriends and almost get kicked out of his apartment by his brother and spend upwards of $20,000 in a year on a substance.
Yeah.
You know, so where do we draw the line between that and games? You know,
and this is where it gets interesting because psychologically speaking, it is a drug.
Yeah.
The chemical that we keep referring to is dopamine. Dopamine is a drug. It's produced naturally. I believe it's opiates that stimulate dopamine receptors in the brain.
They do.
And you can get dopamine naturally just by, doing good things, doing fun things that you're passionate about. And then there's natural dopamine via synthetic stimuli, like games.
Yeah, things that trigger the hits.
Things that trigger the hits very specifically, and they're designed around this almost Pavlovian response.
Yeah.
I ring bell, dog eats food. You buy a skin on CSGO, you get skin, that's good. That's dopamine.
Yeah, or you get the victory royale and the theme music plays.
Yep.
Or, you get the rank up into diamond for the first time. Or you just get a win in general. You get MVP. You get compliments for the teammate. You get an ace. Somebody on the other team thinks that you're smurfing. God, that's a big one. That's for somebody else goes, man, you are too good to be playing where you're playing. That just it feels warm inside, and then you want to do it again because like anything that makes you feel good, a hug from a close friend you haven't seen in a while, a long conversation on the phone with someone you care about, seeing a really great movie that you're a fan of, you want to do it again. Like Star Wars, I'm a massive Star Wars fan. If you ever look behind me, you'll see it occasionally. I have like 7 posters in my room and like canvas paintings, and you might not be able to see it actually. Yeah, I've got one right there. You can see it on the camera. I'll move my chair. I have one back there, and I have another one over here in the corner off to the left. I have a framed portrait of the new Mandalorian stuff. Right, it's big. I went and saw each of the new Star Wars movies 4 times in theaters a piece because I wanted to keep the energy flowing into it. I wanted to see the new content. I wanted to break it down. I wanted to understand. Yeah, shut up. Okay, they're
curious of your verdict before we carry on too much farther. What'd you think about them, real quick? Give me like a 5-second synopsis.
As a film critic, they are good films. They are not great Star Wars films.
Okay.
So if I'm going to watch it as a movie, it's probably like an 8 out of 10 for most of them. They're pretty well made. There are a few plot holes, nothing that modern cinematology and modern cinematography hasn't already committed to as far as the modern age of films that we're in. They are great standalone films. They don't live up to the legacy of the sequels, but hardly anything will live up to the legacy of the sequels.
No.
And there are lots of directions that I wish they didn't take with the movies that they could have done differently with the Star Wars movies. And if you want, we will take a podcast and I'll break down how they could have made them a lot better.
We will do a OneTap movies.
We will do
podcast.
OneTap movies or Star Wars cast. Anyway,
I am so down to break down the finer points of the Star Wars movies. I think he's a Discord booster, moderator. He made a video on they broke down, I think, Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
And went into some of its
I've got some words about why they're not good Star Wars movies, but they're great films, which made me happy to go and watch, or the experiences with my friends, because I went with my friends a lot.
I agree with you.
It's that interaction that a lot of people crave, especially these younger kids. I don't think a majority of people my age or your age are going to struggle with a gaming addiction.
No,
outside of
I
certain
think our
personalities.
generation, I think
Like
our
we
generation
missed it.
hit it just so to where
Yeah.
we skimmed the top of the digital boom.
Right.
I think the generation right behind us
Is where it
is
there's some
where
issues.
it's really starting.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, who's 14 or 15 now, he's only 7 years behind me, which isn't that far. My eldest sister is 26, 27, and we're pretty damn good friends.
Right.
I don't feel like I can connect to him and his age group at all.
Right, because they're always glued to something.
It's always something that they're, infatuated with.
Yeah.
And just like me and my friend were talking the other week, the average high school senior is 17, 18 years old.
Right.
I'm 22. That's not that far. I've been out of high school for a couple of years, but I'm really not that much older than your average high school senior. But it feels like they are in a completely different world, right?
Exactly.
They don't even feel like humans.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
They feel like androids. Like it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I think it has to attribute. I have to attribute some of it to this digital age and this digital boom that we're speaking of.
Yeah, and it's
hunting after that dopamine hit.
And it's massively important. So in modern game design, a majority shift of this platform has been to a free-to-play system with DLC or microtransactions to support the development behind the games, because developing games is not cheap, right? Games are expensive. Mm-hmm. Software is expensive. Coding is expensive. The systems that go into the game and having the rights to those systems, that's expensive. The publishing rights, expensive. Mm-hmm. But people grew tired of that growing expense being tacked onto the front end of a game. Spending $60 on a game was like, whoa, what do you mean this game is $60? I remember when games were $30, $40. Yep. And then now
are 70, 75.
Yeah, new gen consoles is $79.99.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Which is massive. And then you think about the DLCs and stuff tacked onto it. Like, to get the full Call of Duty experience every year, it became like $100 to $120 tacked on top of it. And you got all this other content that they were going to do later, because they have to take more time to pile everything in. And so you're expecting these things to be given to you, and they have to retain your attention to make you feel like you've been validated in your purchase.
Yep.
Okay. So this is where we start to draw into the kind of predatory design system of this little bit of hits of satisfaction when you play the games. These little positive interactions within the game, whether it's with other people, whether it's in the community, whether it's winning, whether it's getting that cool new gun or that cool new item, or finding the secret pet or the Easter egg that's locked in the back of the zombies map or whatever. These are really cool things that cause people to then want to stop whatever it is they're also doing, or whatever else they're supposed to be doing, and moving towards which game is competing for their attention, because they're all doing it in different ways. Let's look at like battle royales, the newest market for gaming, and kind of that's come around as you have the Fortnite BR, and you have Warzone, and you have a couple of smaller ones like Apex Legends and Spellbreak and some other ones that kind of have sprouted up, right? What the difference between each of these are doing, because they're all in the same genre and they're all competing for your attention in separate ways that make you want to play them, right? For most people, that's the battle pass or tracking wins or rank system, because these are inherently competitive games. I still don't think BRs are competitive, but that's what the people are playing for, right?
All right.
So what do you do to make these kids, or make these adults, or whoever's playing, want to keep playing so that you can make your money back? Because that's the end of what it is they're vying to keep your attention, right? Like you see it with, and a lot of people going, oh, well, they're free to play games, right? They're not like WoW, right? They're not like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, where you have to pay $15 a month to play the game.
Yeah.
But how many battle passes come out in a month? 2?
Yeah.
3? You know, some games, but most of the time it's 1 to 2. we'll say once every other month. That's $15 once every other month that you're probably spending to get some content, to get some skins, to get some in-game currency, to get this hidden item or this weapon or whatever that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And so they're leading you into wanting to continue to then come back and play. So let you get home and you go, okay, I gotta write this book report. It's due in like 3 days. The battle pass ends in 2, so I really need to grind the battle pass to get this SMG skin that I really want. Or you can pay $50, buy it outright. So Timmy grabs his mom's credit card that's linked to his PSN, charges it, gets the skin, plays for 2 days, does his book report, and then mom's wondering why there's a $50 charge on the credit card. That happens all the time. Mom's come home and talked about how these little 5 and 6-year-olds have figured out how to just charge it on the account, and they hit the button to get V-Bucks or whatever it is, or other stuff like that. And it's just astounding to me that designers have chosen to kind of enter this space where they're preying on the mentality of people who weren't geared to experience it in the first place.
Yeah. Yep. I think marketly speaking, in the market that we're in now, this has started to take a turn, and this happened before I graduated. So 2013, 14 is when I really think it started to take off, was the subscription-based, DLC-based, incomplete product model. You really started to see it with EA, which is why EA caught so much flack early on. Sims 3, prime example. The game itself is $30-$40, but all of the DLC, if you bought everything outright for Sims 3, it would cost you in the neighborhood of $1,350.
Yeah.
That's everything. That is to get the complete experience.
And that was on the course of like 2 years or a year.
Yes. And it's absolutely wild. And this is where, more and more people started to do it. They were starting to see, hey, EA's making a lot of money doing this.
We can do it
Why
too.
don't we just switch to a subscription-based model or a microtransaction-based model? We'd make way more money.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I don't remember. There's a couple of companies specifically that aren't coming to my head right now. But
so Activision was a big one last year.
They were once a year you pay for something, and then
oh, you mean like Game Pass?
Yeah, like a Game Pass, or hell, I don't remember right now. Point is you would pay it up front once, and then you would get the rights to it, whatever. And then they changed. They changed to a subscription-based model because they thought, hey, if the guy spends $10 a month, which isn't a lot of money, that's still that's $120 a year. We've now effectively doubled our profits on this.
Like Photoshop and the Adobe Suite. The Adobe Suite used to be like $200 outright for 3 programs.
Or Microsoft Office.
Yeah, now it's Office 365. God,
now it's Office 365, and you have to pay either $99 a year, or you pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 a month.
Yeah. To type a Word document.
Yes, to use a word processor.
Oh, by the way, Google Docs is free for right now.
Yeah,
Switch.
Well, free with the cost of selling your information.
Oh, you believe? Yeah, Microsoft is doing it anyway.
That's in our other.
Hate to break it to you.
That's in our other cast. OneTap aluminum foil.
Tinfoil hats.
Tinfoil hat.
OneTap hats.
Tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. OneTap hats.
No, I mean, it's the same. It's the same idea. Like they want you to keep coming back to what they're trying to sell you, right? Yep. They're just like a drug dealer. They sell you a little bit, and they say, okay. And you come back and like, hey, I've got this new thing. It's kind of like the old thing, but better. And you're like, okay, sure. And so you just keep going. You keep reaching. To
not beat a dead horse, I think you guys get the point.
Yeah.
These, just about everybody's predatory in the market nowadays, keeping after you. So, Saul, what do we do as smart everyday gamers to make sure that we're not falling into this pitfall?
Well, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a teenager, 13 to 18, you need to prioritize the concrete things around you that are certain. This is education and personal relationships that are around you, and pour your heart into them and finding something that you're passionate about. If you come to me and you say, I'm not passionate about any of my classes, I only want to play League of Legends, go into computing. go into analytics because there's a lot of overlap. I was in that same field for a long time. I didn't really like any of my class or any of my school or anything like that, but I really liked data. I really liked analyzing the things that were going on with certain things, and it came from me wanting to get better at certain games, realistically. And so when I was introduced to cybersecurity and the fields around that and some of that stuff that built into it, a lot of it is a lot of crossover. Now I really enjoy where I'm at. And it's given me kind of this clear focus of now I know where my real life, quote unquote, is. I can focus freely on the digital part of it, which is playing games, producing this podcast, for instance, and balancing it well. Practicing.
It's almost like stepping into a different skin or a different life when you sit down at the desk.
I felt like a Pokemon evolving.
Yeah.
When I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
But and after you've done that and you really poured into school and the people around you, practicing proper time management and allocating certain things and sticking to that and building a routine for it is paramount to being successful in the management of something that's potentially addictive. Yes. Anything addictive, caveat, anything that is not a substance in moderation is fine, right? Do not go out and do hard drugs. Hard drugs are bad for you. Do not smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes are bad for you. Do not vape. Vaping is bad for you. Don't do it.
Yes.
But playing a video game in moderation is a wonderful thing. You learn problem solving. You learn critical thinking. You can learn to do things like quick math. You can learn a whole lot of skills. You can learn relational skills, communication, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, interpersonal and
it's wonderful.
Skills.
You can learn so many wonderful things when you don't dedicate the majority of your life to playing a game that that won't statistically ever give it to you back. Won't ever give it back to you. But by pouring into the people around you and into education, you can set yourself up to live a very rewarding life where everything you work for gives it back in one way or the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
I'm going to caveat and speak my piece before we wrap it up.
Of course.
I don't necessarily think, and this is going to sound horrible, I don't necessarily think you have to go to school.
No, okay? No, for sure.
I don't think school is the answer for everybody. I hated school. I didn't want to go back to college, so I ended up joining the Army.
Yeah.
Which
is an option.
It's not your only option, but it is an option. And funny enough, I joined the Army and then ended up going to college anyway, because going to college is just a smart move. So I think everybody should completely do a 180 from what I just said. So, I think college is a good answer for just about everybody.
I think I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that you should you should look into an avenue that's either like college or trade school. Something that will teach you a skill of some kind.
Get educated.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be schooled.
Right. You don't have to be the Renaissance
educated,
man.
But you don't have to be schooled.
Right. That's a good.
And I believe it's very important to have one or the other or both.
Right.
Because being schooled doesn't necessarily mean that you're educated, and being educated doesn't necessarily mean that you're schooled.
No, just go out and get experiences.
Get experience.
Go do stuff.
Find what that true calling is.
For sure.
You're going to know. It's the one thing that, man, it makes you feel so different from any other experience. Yeah. But you're not going to know that if you're trapped in the digital world and you're not going out and experiencing things that you need to experience.
100%. And I've done a lot with the digital world over the last 10 years. I've played a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of World of Warcraft, Overwatch, played Digital Magic. I've grinded harder than I think any of our listeners combined. I have, I have 5,000 to 7,000 hours in multiple different video games, and I have 10,000 hours or more in 2 of them. I've got a ton of time into trying to hone different crafts, and all of my cherished memories and experiences are outside of playing video games. Everything that I think builds me as a fundamental person and my character exists outside of the digital plane.
Right.
Which I think is something that this not targeted market, but this victimized market of these younger kids, 15 and below, don't understand, because the way that those things get formed have been replaced by these digital fronts. And so they aren't forming correctly, if so to speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for anybody who's under 15, if you're spending more than like 4 or 5 hours on a video game every day, stop. Do something else. Find another outlet. Find another avenue.
Yeah.
In to better yourself.
In moderation.
Anyone like from 15 to 18, if you're doing it, and you're good at it, try to make something out of it if you're passionate about it. Start early with content or grinding to be a professional or whatever it is. Try to be the best you can be at whatever it is you're trying to do. But don't let it take over you from going to homecoming or going out with that friend to the movies or trying paintball or, playing backyard football with your friends during Thanksgiving break. Don't let it stop you from experiencing the life that's around you, because when you do, that's when you understand that you're addicted to the substance you're getting from the game instead of playing the game.
Right.
And don't let the game play you. Play the game instead.
Right.
So sometimes you gotta play the game of life. But it kind of a heavier topic this week. If it's not your thing, give us feedback, let us know. And I'm not gonna stop talking about things like this. If important topics come up, I think it's important, as we are content creators, we talk to people, and we get our message out, whether it's one person or 100,000 people. If it needs to be said, it needs to be said. But if it's something you want to see more of, let us know. If you want to see us dial it back or change it up or whatever, let me know too. But yeah, I think to kind of wrap out the show, next week, I think we're going to try to hit the ideal model for Valorant esports. It's kind of what I'm leaning towards at the moment. As the
fantasy Valorant.
Yeah, what our end game. Yeah, what our end game looks like for Valorant year 3. Because next year they've already defined their kind of structure, and see where that kind of goes. So if you want to get on that conversation, tweet at us at OneTapCast. Join the Discord. You can use !Discord of the Twitch chat. If you're here live, you find a link down below in the description. If you enjoyed what you watched, if you didn't enjoy what you watched, if you loved us, if you hated us, if you want to talk to us more, please hit the like button, comment, whatever. Just send it wherever you want. And we love you guys. Have some great games, and I'll catch you next time.
Bye.